Your person who still matters noticed something about you that changed their behavior overnight. Before you even realized it yourself, something subtle but undeniable shifted in you, like the quiet moment before dawn when the sky hasn't changed color yet but the light is already on its way. This message is for you because your heart needs this right now, not loudly, not urgently, but honestly. You didn't wake up planning to change. You didn't decide to transform. It happened naturally, the way growth always does when the soul finally feels safe enough to let go of old survival patterns. And the person who still matters felt it instantly. Listen to this carefully, because they didn't notice it in your words or your actions, they noticed it in what you stopped doing. You stopped chasing reassurance. You stopped over-explaining your feelings. You stopped filling silence with effort. And that absence of emotional noise spoke louder than anything you ever said before. Stay with this, because this wasn't accidental. When someone has been emotionally connected to you, even loosely, they feel it the moment your inner gravity shifts. Your energy stopped leaning outward and started settling inward, and that changed the entire emotional climate of the connection overnight. This message is for you because you may have sensed their behavior change suddenly. Their tone became cautious, their presence inconsistent, their confidence around you wavered, and you wondered what triggered it. The universe wants you to understand that what they noticed was your self-possession. You no longer needed them to respond a certain way to feel okay. You no longer waited for signs to validate your intuition. You became emotionally still, not shut down, but rooted. And when someone is used to accessing you through uncertainty, your clarity can feel disorienting. Listen to this, because soulmate-level connections are highly sensitive to inner change. Your person felt that the version of you who once adapted, waited, and emotionally accommodated was no longer operating the same way. That realization landed before their mind could catch up, which is why their behavior shifted before any conversation happened. Angel numbers may have started appearing around you during this time, not as predictions, but as stabilizers. Seeing 5. 55 when you felt restless was the universe saying transformation is unavoidable. Seeing 222 when you questioned balance was a reminder that something had been uneven for a long time. Seeing 444 during moments of calm was reassurance that you are protected while dynamics rearrange. Your heart needs this right now because growth often feels confusing when it's quiet instead of dramatic. Stay here, because this next truth matters. You didn't pull away to punish anyone. You didn't change to test them. You simply reached a point where your nervous system stopped tolerating emotional ambiguity. And that internal shift changed how you showed up without you trying. Your person noticed that you weren't reacting the same way anymore, that your silence felt different, that your presence no longer came with emotional bargaining. That scared them because it meant the old rules of access no longer applied. Listen to this gently, because fear doesn't always look like withdrawal, sometimes it looks like hesitation, mixed signals, or sudden emotional distance. This message is for you because their reaction is not a measure of your worth. It's a response to the realization that connection with you now requires intention, not assumption. Don't scroll away now, because the universe is clarifying something important. You didn't become colder, you became clearer. You didn't lose softness, you gained stability. And stability disrupts dynamics built on imbalance. Angel numbers like 111 may be appearing now to pull you back into alignment with yourself, while 333 signals that higher guidance is helping you integrate this change without self-doubt. Your person who still matters noticed that you could walk away with grace if needed, not because you wanted to, but because you finally trusted yourself enough to know you'd be okay. That awareness changed how they see you permanently. Stay till the end, because here's the grounding truth meant for your heart: whatever they noticed about you cannot be unseen. Whether they rise to meet you or retreat to protect comfort, the connection has already evolved because you evolved. This message is for you because you are not meant to shrink back into an older version of yourself to keep love familiar. The universe is not asking you to chase clarity. It's asking you to honor the clarity you already carry. Breathe into that. Trust what's unfolding. And if this message resonated with you, if it felt steady instead of overwhelming, subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to what the universe is revealing next, because what's meant to stay will always recognize growth, not run from it. Before your mind catches up, your body already knows this is different, not heavy, not urgent, just unmistakably real. This message is for you because something subtle is unfolding now, and it isn't loud enough to force attention, but it's strong enough to change direction. After your person noticed that quiet shift in you, the one that didn't announce itself or seek permission, they didn't immediately react, they recalibrated. You may not have seen it on the surface, but internally, something in them paused. They started replaying moments they once skimmed past. Things you said that didn't register before suddenly felt layered. Silences that used to feel manageable began to feel exposed. Listen to this carefully, because what changed next wasn't about distance or closeness, it was about awareness settling in. Your heart needs this right now because you might be wondering why the energy feels different without anything being said. That's because when someone senses they no longer have unconscious access to you, they start reassessing the entire emotional structure of the connection. Stay with this, because this is where the universe works quietly. Your person began noticing how you no longer fill gaps the way you used to. You don't smooth over awkwardness. You don't rush to restore emotional balance. You allow things to sit as they are. That's not indifference, that's self-trust. And self-trust changes how people interact with you. This message is for you because you didn't do this to provoke a reaction. You didn't pull away strategically. You simply stopped betraying your inner signals. That alone is enough to change someone's behavior overnight. Listen to this, because when emotional labor disappears from one side, the truth of the bond becomes visible. Your person is realizing now that the connection used to move forward because you carried momentum. You were the one who bridged emotional distance, translated silence, and gave meaning where there was ambiguity. When that stopped, everything slowed, not because the connection died, but because it was no longer being pushed. Angel numbers may be appearing during this phase in a quieter way. You might catch 606 when you're feeling reflective, signaling inner balance returning. You might see 717 during moments of clarity, reminding you that this shift is spiritually guided. These signs aren't asking you to act, they're anchoring you. Stay here, because this next part matters. Your person started noticing that you no longer respond from the same emotional entry point. Conversations feel different. Your energy feels less reactive, more contained. That unsettles someone who was comfortable operating in emotional gray zones. They aren't used to being met with grounded presence instead of emotional accommodation. This message is for you because their confusion is not your responsibility to resolve. Confusion is often the first step toward accountability. Listen gently, because the universe is not asking you to explain yourself. It's asking you to stay aligned. Your person is beginning to feel that if they want access to you now, it has to be through clarity, not assumption. Through intention, not timing games. That realization can feel threatening before it feels motivating. Don't move away from this truth, because it explains why their behavior feels inconsistent or cautious right now. They are adjusting to a new emotional reality where you are no longer available by default. Angel numbers like 818 may show up when you feel steady, reflecting karmic balance shifting. Seeing 313 during moments of insight may signal that emotional truth is surfacing for both of you, even if only one of you is conscious of it. Your heart needs this grounding because growth doesn't always feel empowering at first. Sometimes it feels like standing still while the world rearranges around you. Stay with this message, because you are not losing connection, you are losing illusion. And illusion often leaves quietly. Your person is realizing that the version of you they knew operated from hope, patience, and emotional generosity. The version of you now operates from discernment, regulation, and self-respect. That difference changes everything. Listen to this carefully, because what happens next depends on whether they choose to meet reality or retreat into comfort. But that choice is theirs. Yours has already been made. You chose yourself without drama. You chose alignment without announcement. And that choice altered the emotional gravity of the connection. Breathe into that. Let the calm settle. You are not waiting anymore, you are allowing. And if this message grounded you instead of stirring anxiety, stay connected, because what unfolds next will not be rushed, forced, or confusing. It will arrive with the same quiet certainty that changed everything in the first place. You didn't feel it as excitement or fear, it arrived more like a quiet click inside you, the sound of something finally lining up after being slightly off for a long time. This message is for you because what's happening now is not dramatic on the surface, but it's profound underneath. After your person noticed that inner shift in you and recalibrated their behavior, a deeper layer of awareness began unfolding for both of you. Not at the same pace. Not in the same way. But inevitably. Listen to this carefully, because this is the phase where truth starts surfacing without anyone forcing it. Your person is beginning to recognize patterns they once ignored. Moments where you held emotional space without receiving it back. Times when you softened your needs to keep peace. Ways you stayed present even when clarity was missing. And now, in your absence of overgiving, those memories are rearranging themselves in their mind. Stay with this, because this isn't regret yet, it's recognition. And recognition changes behavior before it changes words. Your heart needs this right now because you may feel a strange sense of emotional neutrality mixed with awareness, like you're watching things unfold without being pulled into them. That's not detachment from love, that's detachment from illusion. You are no longer emotionally inside the pattern, you're observing it. And observation brings power. Listen to this, because when one person stops participating unconsciously, the dynamic exposes itself. Your person is starting to feel the weight of emotional responsibility they didn't realize they were avoiding. They notice now that conversations don't carry the same cushion. That silence doesn't resolve itself. That the connection no longer floats forward on unspoken hope. Angel numbers may be appearing now in subtler forms, you might catch 9:19 when reflecting, signaling a cycle preparing to close or evolve. You might see 6:16 during moments of calm, reminding you that emotional balance is being restored internally before anything changes externally. These signs aren't pushing you to act, they're confirming that you're exactly where you need to be. Stay here, because this next truth matters. Your person is becoming aware that the connection didn't weaken because you changed, it was revealed because you stopped compensating. That realization can be uncomfortable, because it removes the comfort of blame. They can no longer tell themselves you're distant, cold, or confusing. On some level, they know you're simply whole. And wholeness doesn't negotiate for basic emotional presence. This message is for you because you're no longer trying to be understood at the cost of self-respect. You've reached a point where being aligned matters more than being chosen. Listen gently, because the universe is steadying you here. You may notice that even when thoughts of them arise, they don't derail your mood. You can feel affection without urgency, memory without longing, curiosity without attachment. That's emotional integration. And integration shifts timelines. Your person feels that shift as a loss of emotional leverage, not because you're withholding, but because you're no longer unconsciously offering access. Angel numbers like 727 may appear when you're grounded, signaling inner wisdom consolidating. Seeing 2. May 26th show up when you question balance, reminding you that reciprocity is no longer optional in your life. Stay with this message, because the universe is clarifying something essential. You are no longer meant to manage the emotional outcome of this connection. You're meant to stand in truth and let the dynamic respond accordingly. Your person may feel moments of discomfort, curiosity, or even admiration, not all at once, not clearly, but enough to shift how they approach you. Whether they move toward accountability or retreat into familiarity will become evident without you asking. And that's the difference now. You no longer need explanations to feel secure. Listen to this carefully, because what's unfolding next is not about winning, losing, or proving anything. It's about alignment sorting itself out. You've stepped into a version of yourself that doesn't need emotional noise to feel alive. And that quiet strength is the most confronting mirror of all. Breathe into this. Let the stillness do its work. You are not behind. You are not waiting. You are allowing truth to reveal itself at its own pace. And whatever unfolds from here will meet you where you stand, not where you used to bend. It didn't arrive as a message, a call, or a confession. It arrived as a shift in gravity, the kind you feel when something that once pulled at you no longer has the same force. This message is for you because you're standing in the phase where the universe stops rearranging you and starts rearranging everything around you. After the recognition settled in your person, after they began noticing patterns and feeling the absence of your emotional overfunctioning, a deeper consequence started unfolding. The connection stopped floating. It started standing on truth. And truth has weight. Listen to this carefully, because this is the point where dynamics either mature or dissolve quietly. Your person is now sensing that the emotional space between you isn't empty, it's clarified. There's no longer confusion to hide behind, no emotional fog to soften reality. Your calm presence has made everything sharper. Conversations feel more intentional. Silence feels more revealing. And that changes how someone behaves without them even realizing why. Stay with this, because this is where your growth begins to lead instead of react. Your heart needs this right now because you may feel moments of stillness where you once felt anticipation. That's not loss, that's release. You're no longer emotionally rehearsing outcomes or waiting for signals. You're present. And presence removes illusion. Listen to this, because your person is beginning to understand something they didn't before. Access to you is no longer emotional default. It's earned through consistency, honesty, and grounded presence. That awareness brings a quiet tension, not panic, but accountability. Angel numbers may appear now in understated ways. You might see 808 during moments of reflection, signaling balance recalibrating through consequence. You might catch 636 when you feel settled, reminding you that emotional harmony begins internally before it appears externally. These aren't instructions, they're confirmations. Stay here, because this next layer matters. Your person may now feel unsure how to approach you, not because you're distant, but because you're clear. They can't rely on old patterns anymore. They can't assume you'll translate silence or soften misalignment. And that uncertainty forces a decision point internally. This message is for you because you're no longer meant to guide that decision. You're meant to observe it. Listen gently, because the universe is stabilizing you here. You may notice that your intuition feels quieter but more precise. You don't second-guess your feelings as much. You don't rush to label emotions. You trust what you sense. That trust is changing how others experience you. Angel numbers like 747 may show up when you're grounded, signaling that inner wisdom has integrated. Seeing 242 when you're neutral may reflect balance asserting itself without effort. Stay with this message, because what's happening now is subtle but decisive. The connection is no longer being carried by hope, memory, or emotional momentum. It's being evaluated by reality. And reality doesn't negotiate. Your person may feel moments of hesitation, curiosity, or respect, not all at once, but enough to alter how they engage. Whether they rise into clarity or drift into distance will happen naturally, without confrontation. And that's the power of where you stand now. You're no longer pushing the story forward. You're letting truth do the work. Breathe into that. Let the steadiness settle. You are not pausing your life waiting for something to happen, you are living from alignment while everything else catches up. And whatever unfolds next will not require effort, explanation, or emotional strain. It will arrive cleanly, honestly, and in response to who you are now, not who you once tried to be. What's different now is not what's happening between you, it's where you're standing while it happens. This message is for you because you've entered the phase where the universe tests nothing and simply observes. After the gravity shift, after the emotional structure of the connection stopped floating and started standing on truth, a quiet clarity settled into you that doesn't ask questions anymore. You're not scanning for signs. You're not decoding behavior. You're not emotionally leaning forward to see what comes next. And that internal stillness has consequences. Listen to this carefully, because your person feels that stillness as distance even though you haven't gone anywhere. They feel it because the emotional current they once moved through effortlessly is no longer carrying them. They are now aware that connection with you requires presence, not habit. Stay with this, because this is where many people misinterpret growth as loss. What's actually happening is filtration. Your energy is no longer open-ended. It's specific. It responds to clarity and goes quiet around confusion. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you precise. Your heart needs this right now because you may notice moments where you feel neutral instead of hopeful, steady instead of emotional, grounded instead of reactive. That neutrality is not emptiness, it's self-trust fully online. Listen to this, because when self-trust activates, dynamics reorganize on their own. Your person is beginning to feel that you're no longer available to be met halfway emotionally. They sense that your patience has transformed into discernment, and discernment does not negotiate. Angel numbers may show up in this phase not as signs to act, but as quiet anchors. You might notice 5:15 when you're calm, signaling a completed transition. You might catch 7:57 during reflective moments, reminding you that inner wisdom is now leading instead of emotion. These are confirmations, not prompts. Stay here, because this layer matters deeply. Your person may now feel unsure how to engage without certainty. They may hesitate, overthink, or pull back slightly, not out of disinterest, but because the emotional shortcuts no longer work. This message is for you because you're not meant to interpret or fix that hesitation. You're meant to remain where you are. Listen gently, because the universe is reinforcing something essential. You are no longer responsible for maintaining emotional momentum. Momentum built on imbalance was never sustainable. What's sustainable now is truth. You may notice that your intuition feels firm without being loud. You don't need validation to feel secure. You don't need reassurance to feel steady. That internal authority changes how others approach you, or whether they can approach you at all. Angel numbers like 8:3-8 may appear when you're grounded, signaling karmic recalibration. Seeing 2:58 when you're detached may reflect balance asserting itself naturally. Stay with this message, because what's unfolding now doesn't require action. It requires consistency. Consistency in how you honor yourself. Consistency in what you allow access to. The connection is being measured now not by emotion, but by capacity. Can it meet you where you stand, or only where you used to bend? That answer will reveal itself without confrontation. And that's the power of this phase. You are no longer inside the story trying to shape it. You are outside it, watching truth take form. Breathe into that. Let the steadiness deepen. Whatever happens next will not surprise you, rush you, or destabilize you, because you're no longer built around anticipation. You're built around alignment. And alignment does not chase outcomes. It lets reality respond. It arrives without urgency, without emotional noise, almost unnoticed at first, the realization that you are no longer standing inside the outcome, you are standing beside it. This message is for you because this is the phase where the universe lets you feel what stability actually feels like, not as an idea, but as a lived state. After the filtration, after the quiet narrowing of what you allow, something settles deeply in you. You're no longer checking your emotional temperature based on their behavior. You're no longer adjusting your inner state to match external signals. And that inner independence changes the entire energetic field. Listen to this carefully, because your person feels this shift more than anything else so far. They sense that you are no longer emotionally reachable through uncertainty. Not because you've closed off, but because you've anchored. That anchor changes how silence lands. It changes how distance feels. It changes how effort is measured. Stay with this, because this is where the universe stops teaching you through contrast and starts teaching you through embodiment. Your heart needs this right now because you may notice that even when thoughts of them arise, they don't disturb your center. There's no spike of hope, no drop of disappointment. Just awareness. And awareness is power. Listen to this, because from this place, your person is now encountering you as you truly are, not as you once were. They are beginning to realize that emotional access to you now requires alignment, not timing, not nostalgia, not potential. That realization is sobering. Angel numbers may appear during this phase in a grounded, almost background way. You might see 414 when you're calm, signaling emotional foundation stabilizing. You might notice 714 during moments of clarity, reminding you that inner wisdom has taken the lead. These are not signs to act, they are confirmations that you are no longer meant to move from impulse. Stay here, because this next layer matters deeply. Your person may now feel unsure how to approach you because the old emotional entry points no longer exist. They can't rely on inconsistency, charm, or ambiguity to maintain connection. And that uncertainty forces an internal reckoning. Either meet you with presence and clarity, or remain at a distance without drama. This message is for you because you are no longer meant to influence that reckoning. You are meant to remain steady while it unfolds. Listen gently, because the universe is protecting your nervous system here. You may notice that your reactions are slower, your thoughts more spacious, your emotions less consuming. That's not disengagement, that's regulation. And regulation is what allows truth to surface without distortion. Angel numbers like 814 may appear when you feel settled, signaling karmic balance locking into place. Seeing 214 when you feel neutral may reflect emotional equilibrium asserting itself naturally. Stay with this message, because what's happening now is subtle but decisive. The connection is no longer being evaluated by feeling alone. It's being evaluated by capacity. Can it exist without emotional strain? Can it meet you without you shrinking? Can it sustain itself without you carrying it? Those answers will emerge quietly, without confrontation, without explanation. And that's the beauty of where you are now. You are no longer forcing clarity, you are allowing it. Breathe into that. Let the steadiness deepen. Whatever unfolds next will not require you to move faster, explain more, or prove anything. It will respond to who you are now. And who you are now is grounded, clear, and no longer available for anything that costs you your peace. It doesn't feel like waiting anymore, it feels like standing, and that difference is everything. This message is for you because you've entered the phase where the universe no longer nudges you forward, it simply watches how firmly you remain where you are. After all the inner recalibration, after the filtration, after the anchoring, something profound has taken root inside you. You are no longer emotionally movable by uncertainty. You're not bracing for impact, not hoping for shifts, not scanning the horizon for signs. You're present in yourself. And that presence has a gravity of its own. Listen to this carefully, because this is the moment where your person who still matters feels the full consequence of your growth, not as loss, not as rejection, but as finality of access. They can sense that you are no longer emotionally available by default. Not because you shut the door, but because the door now opens only to clarity, intention, and consistency. Stay with this, because this phase is often misunderstood. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But underneath, everything is being decided. Your heart needs this right now because you may notice how calm you feel even when nothing has resolved yet. That calm is not denial, it's integration. You're no longer emotionally invested in outcomes that require you to abandon your center. And that internal boundary reshapes the entire dynamic without you having to say a word. Listen to this, because your person is now encountering a version of you they cannot negotiate with emotionally. They feel that old strategies don't land the same. Silence doesn't pressure you. Distance doesn't destabilize you. Mixed signals don't hook you. That realization creates a quiet reckoning inside them. They begin to understand that if they want to be part of your life now, it has to be through presence, not possibility. Through grounded action, not emotional convenience. Angel numbers may still appear during this phase, but they feel almost incidental now. You might notice 927 during moments of reflection, signaling a cycle fully completing. You might see 627 when you're at peace, reminding you that emotional harmony has been restored internally, not conditionally. These are not calls to move, they're acknowledgments that you've arrived. Stay here, because this next layer matters deeply. Your person may now feel a mix of respect and hesitation. Respect for your steadiness. Hesitation because steadiness demands response. They can no longer lean on ambiguity or time to maintain connection. And that's confronting. This message is for you because you are no longer meant to soften that confrontation. You're meant to let it exist. Let them feel what it's like to meet someone who is emotionally whole. Listen gently, because the universe is reinforcing something essential now. You are not required to participate in emotional uncertainty anymore. Your nervous system has learned safety. Your intuition has learned trust. And because of that, you don't chase reassurance, you respond to alignment. Angel numbers like 827 may appear when you feel grounded, reflecting karmic balance settling without effort. Seeing 327 when you're reflective may signal that higher wisdom has integrated into your emotional responses. Stay with this message, because what's unfolding now is not dramatic, it's decisive. The connection is being measured not by emotion, history, or longing, but by capacity. Can it meet you without destabilizing you? Can it exist without you carrying it? Can it honor who you are now, not who you once were? These answers are emerging quietly, without confrontation, without forcing conversations. And that's the power of this phase. You are no longer asking questions, you are observing answers. Breathe into that. Let the steadiness deepen further. You may notice that even curiosity about the outcome has softened. You trust that whatever aligns will arrive without strain. And whatever doesn't will fade without damage. That's not emotional distance, that's emotional authority. Your person feels this authority, and it changes how they see you permanently. Whether they rise to meet it or step back from it, you are no longer affected in the way you once were. And that's growth fully embodied. Stay till the end, because here's the grounding truth meant for your heart: you didn't come this far to hover between versions of yourself. You came here to live from alignment. You are no longer waiting for someone else's readiness to determine your direction. You are walking forward rooted in who you are now. And from this place, Only connections that can stand in clarity will be able to stand beside you. Everything else will fall away quietly, without chaos, without regret. Take a breath and feel that. This is not the end of the story, this is the point where the story stops pulling you and starts responding to you. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic closure, it arrives as a deep internal exhale, the kind you didn't know you were holding for years. This message is for you because you've reached the stage where the universe stops shaping lessons and starts revealing results. After everything that shifted, filtered, anchored, and stabilized inside you, something final and unmistakable settles in. You are no longer emotionally available to be pulled. You are only available to be met. And that distinction changes the entire landscape of your life. Listen to this carefully, because this is the moment where your person who still matters fully understands, not intellectually, but energetically, that you are no longer standing in the doorway of possibility. You have stepped fully into yourself. There is no emotional leverage left to access you through uncertainty, nostalgia, or unspoken potential. Stay with this, because this phase is subtle, powerful, and irreversible. You may notice that your thoughts about them arise without charge now. No spike of longing. No wave of sadness. Just awareness. That's not indifference. That's completion. Your heart needs this right now because completion doesn't always feel like celebration, sometimes it feels like quiet relief. You're no longer waiting for anything to land. You're no longer emotionally paused. You are moving forward internally even if nothing has happened externally yet. Listen to this, because the universe measures growth not by events, but by capacity. And your capacity has changed. Your person can feel it. They sense that the emotional terrain around you is different, steadier, firmer, less negotiable. They may feel drawn and intimidated at the same time. Drawn because grounded energy is magnetic. Intimidated because grounded energy does not bend. Angel numbers may still appear now, but they feel more like quiet acknowledgments than guidance. You might notice 949 during reflective moments, signaling a cycle fully integrated. You might catch 649 when you're calm, reminding you that emotional harmony is no longer conditional. These are confirmations that the work is done. Stay here, because this layer matters deeply. Your person is now encountering the truth that whatever they do next must come from intention, not reaction. They can no longer rely on time, silence, or ambiguity to maintain relevance in your life. And that realization is confronting. Not because you're withholding, but because you're whole. This message is for you because you are no longer meant to soften that truth for anyone. You're not meant to reassure others about your boundaries. You're meant to live them. Listen gently, because the universe is honoring you here. You may notice how your nervous system feels regulated even when uncertainty exists. How your intuition feels calm instead of urgent. How your decisions feel cleaner, less emotionally charged. That's embodiment. Angel numbers like 849 may appear when you feel grounded, reflecting karmic balance completing without drama. Seeing 349 during moments of insight may signal that higher wisdom has fully integrated into how you move, choose, and respond. Stay with this message, because what's unfolding now is not about endings, it's about readiness. You are ready for connections that don't require emotional labor. Ready for conversations that don't circle endlessly. Ready for love that doesn't need urgency to stay alive. And readiness changes what finds you. Your person who still matters may now see you clearly for the first time, not as someone they could figure out later, but as someone they must meet now or not at all. That clarity removes fantasy and leaves truth. Whether they step forward with grounded intention or step back into comfort will happen naturally, without confrontation. And either way, you remain steady. Listen to this carefully, because this is the final grounding truth of this series. You were never meant to be chosen through hesitation. You were meant to be met through clarity. And you have aligned yourself with that truth fully. Stay till the end, because this is where the universe closes the loop gently. You are no longer carrying unfinished emotional weight into the future. You are walking forward with presence, discernment, and peace. Whatever comes next will not arrive suddenly, urgently, or confusingly. It will arrive steadily, clearly, and without asking you to abandon yourself. Take a breath and feel that certainty settle. This is not the end of love. This is the beginning of love that can stand beside who you are now, without fear, without games, without delay. It doesn't close with an answer, it closes with knowing, and that difference is everything. This message is for you because you are standing at the point where the universe no longer needs to test your patience, your faith, or your emotional endurance. You've passed through all of that already. What you're feeling now isn't anticipation and it isn't loss, it's arrival. Arrival into yourself. After everything that's shifted, filtered, anchored, and clarified, there is one undeniable truth settling into your body. You are no longer waiting for someone else's behavior to tell you who you are. You know. And because you know, the energy around you has reorganized itself completely. Listen to this carefully, because this is where the story truly completes. The person who still mattered noticed your change, felt the shift, recalibrated, hesitated, questioned, and confronted their own limitations, but what matters now is not what they do next. What matters is that you are no longer shaped by their response. That is the final transformation. You are standing in emotional authority, not emotional defense. You are open without being exposed, calm without being detached, grounded without being closed. And that balance is rare. Stay with this, because the universe wants you to understand why this ending doesn't feel dramatic. Dramatic endings belong to old versions of you who needed intensity to feel connection. This version of you recognizes peace as confirmation. You may notice that even memories no longer pull you backward. They surface, acknowledge themselves, and pass. That's not forgetting, that's integration. Your heart needs this right now because this is the moment where you stop measuring your life by unresolved chapters. You are no longer carrying "what if" into tomorrow. You are carrying discernment. Listen to this, because from this place, everything that approaches you will feel different. Conversations will either feel clean or unnecessary. Connections will either feel aligned or distant without pain. Love will either feel safe or irrelevant. And that's not because you've hardened, it's because you've stabilized. Angel numbers may still appear, but now they feel almost symbolic, like quiet acknowledgments rather than guidance. You might notice 10. 10 during moments of calm, signaling full circle completion. You might catch 12-12 when you feel steady, reminding you that alignment is no longer ahead of you, it's within you. These are not signs to wait. They are signs to live. Stay here, because this is where destiny becomes practical. You are no longer available for connections that need emotional suspense to survive. You are no longer attracted to uncertainty disguised as depth. You are oriented toward clarity, consistency, and emotional presence, not because you demand it, but because anything less no longer resonates with your nervous system. The person who once mattered may now understand what they lost access to, or they may not. But that understanding is no longer required for your peace. This message is for you because your life is no longer paused at the edge of someone else's readiness. You are moving gently, steadily, forward. Listen closely, because this is the final truth the universe wants to leave with you. You didn't lose anything real along the way. What fell away was what couldn't stand beside who you became. What remains, or what comes next, will not ask you to shrink, wait, interpret, or endure. It will meet you clearly, choose you openly, and stand with you without hesitation. Breathe into that. Let it land fully. This chapter doesn't end with a question, it ends with self-trust. And from this place, everything that is truly meant for you will recognize you immediately, because you are no longer hiding from yourself. If this series grounded you, strengthened you, or made you feel understood in a way that didn't rely on fear or urgency, stay connected and subscribe, because what comes next won't be about survival or waiting, it will be about living in alignment with the version of you that is finally home.